going on, guys? Welcome in. My name is Dr. James Cellini, and I'm a board-certified practicing veterinary neurologist and neurosurgeon. Recent videos both on my channel and my younger brother's channel, who I'm sure you know, the other Dr. Cellini, kind of gotten a little bit of a negative outlook put out there on the veterinary field as a whole. Now, don't get me wrong, there's certainly a ton of problems and challenges that need to be addressed in the veterinary field, but I would be remiss to put out nothing but negativity. In fact, the veterinary field has given me so much in life to be grateful for. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 of my favorite upsides to veterinary medicine. And yes, the last one is my favorite. So before I go into that, if you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe button, that'd be great. It always helps with the algorithm, as they say. And let's get into it. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is how versatile a DVM degree is. And this leads into item number 1, which is the fact that a DVM degree, or a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, can lead you down so many different career paths, not just in clinical practice. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but when I started vet school, I had no idea that anything other than being a general practitioner was even an option for a veterinarian. I kid you not, me, now a boarded veterinary neurologist, had absolutely no idea what a veterinary specialist was, and I thought general practice was the only option going into veterinary school. I literally thought every classmate of mine, we were all going to be general practitioners, and that was the only option.
What?
But despite starting off being totally clueless, I managed to make my way through everything and become a neurologist. But like my father once told me, after striking out about 100 times in a row in Little League and then finally getting a hit, even a blind squirrel finds nuts. Yeah, that's pretty much how it went for about 12 years. But back to being a vet. As you may or may not know watching this, being a general practitioner is not the only option afforded to you having a DVM degree. In fact, far from it. Aside from all the options outside of clinical practice in general, which I'll get into in a second, there is an entire variety of different specialties that you can pursue and obtain board certification in. Things like surgery, neurology, internal medicine, oncology, cardiology, dermatology, emergency and critical care, what else? Nutrition, physical therapy, pathology, zoo and wildlife. And some of these specialties are so different from each other that it's kind of amazing that they fall under the umbrella of all being veterinary medicine. And those are just the clinical jobs. There are entire sectors out there that you can work in with a DVM degree. Things like public health, public policy, consulting, pharmaceuticals, research, lab animal work, working in the military, believe it or not. The military is a huge presence for veterinary medicine. Teaching, shelter medicine, industry. So yeah, I think I just rattled off like 20 different career options for veterinary medicine, both in and out of clinical practice. But as you can see, there's a huge variety of different options for you with a DVM degree. Okay, the second aspect of veterinary medicine that I would like to bring up as a positive or an upside is that there is actually a path with veterinary medicine to significant financial success. Now, ignoring the obvious elephant in the room here being the student loan crisis facing the industry and just focusing on the salaries and average incomes of different veterinarians, you see that there are some quite high earning disciplines in veterinary medicine, especially in certain specialties. It is very possible for specialists in different categories of specialty medicine to make upwards of $200,000, $225,000, $250,000 a year, even above $300,000 a year in different specialties.
Wow.
And being able to earn that type of an income as a veterinarian and not having to endure at least the degree of student loan burden that human physicians make, and oftentimes human physicians make under $300,000 a year. That sets you up for some serious success, both financially and otherwise throughout your life. And honestly, it comes out as a huge net positive for a lot of people. Now, I know I'm not factoring in the effect of student loans kind of draining on that. I'm just talking about the straight up earning potential that's on its own. And I'm certainly respectful of the fact that not every veterinarian is going to make $325,000 a year, far from it. In other words, I'm just trying to paint a picture for veterinary medicine that isn't completely financial doom and gloom all the time. All right, the third aspect of veterinary medicine that I see as a huge upside of the field, but is very easy to lose track of, and that is relieving pain and suffering in animals. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of cases where you can't fix a problem or a pet has something that is just too far along for you to really do anything about other than relieve their suffering through, temporary pain meds and things like that. But there are some cases where you truly can quickly and immediately fix a problem and you see a huge turnaround in either an animal's pain level or their mobility or other quality of life. And those cases are absolutely amazing and the types of cases that you really hang your emotional hat on to keep you going in a career like this. Now, as a neurologist, my personal favorite example of an opportunity where I can help an animal relieve their pain and improve their mobility is when I fix a disc herniation. Take, for example, this case of a patient I saw very recently who presented to me for a sudden onset of weakness in all four limbs, inability to stand up, and severe neck pain. We identified a disc herniation on MRI, took the dog to surgery, and 2 weeks later, when I see this girl for a recheck, she looks like a completely new dog. She's fully ambulatory and pain-free and should be for a very long time. These are the types of cases that I enjoy the most, and it's always important when you have a job that kind of emotionally challenges you to focus your efforts and your emotional energy on the patients you can help in the instances where you have helped an animal. Because you don't want to just dwell on all the cases where you couldn't really help them and it was kind of out of your control. I think it becomes one of those things they talk about with mental well-being, where focus on the things that you can control is a better outlook than focusing on things that you can't control. What do they call that? Like sphere of influence or something like that? I don't know. But suffice it to say, as a veterinarian, you have to always bear in mind that you are helping animals and relieving the pain and suffering of these little sentient creatures. All right, the fourth upside to practicing veterinary medicine, and this is in direct contrast to practicing human medicine, that is not having to deal with health insurance. Now, obviously, there is pet insurance nowadays. It's becoming more and more popular, and I definitely recommend it for most people. However, that is a system whereby the owner still has to pay for services for veterinary care out of pocket, and they're then reimbursed. There's some companies that are starting to do more of like a human model where you pay like a copay and that's it. But the vast majority, the owners still have to pay up front. This sort of like direct out-of-pocket expenditure model certainly has its pros and cons. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit of a challenge. I should say it's a lot of a challenge for a lot of people to pay that much money for veterinary care out of pocket all the time. But just in terms of the actual like workflow and the logistics of kind of keeping track of all these different charges behind the scenes, from what I understand, it's very easy in veterinary medicine compared to human medicine. In human medicine, you have to put in like codes for different procedures, and the insurance companies dictate like what each procedure earns the hospital and earns the doctor, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's nice that in veterinary medicine, we don't have to deal with that at all. Each individual business and company just sets the price based on the market that they're in of what things cost, and that's that. They either get paid for or they don't, and there's no third party that kind of intervenes and doesn't have anybody's interest in mind in doing so. And finally, the fifth positive aspect of veterinary medicine, this is my absolute favorite, and that is I can wear scrubs to work every day. Yes, scrubs. Scrubs, one of the most comfortable work uniforms, or really clothes in general, that you can wear. If I was sponsored by Figs, I would put in a Figs ad right about now. Shout out to Figs. I'm just saying. But no, wearing scrubs to work, as opposed to like wearing a suit and tie like so many of my friends in financial sectors have to do, or other professional fields. Oh my gosh. I'm a very casual person. I hate dressing up, putting on a suit and tie. It's always very uncomfortable. I hate everything about dressing up. I'm very different from my younger brother who plays dress up all the time. But yeah, I cannot tell you how amazing it is to just shower in the morning, put on a pair of scrubs, maybe like a down jacket, get your iced coffee. You're in the car, you're feeling comfortable in the car. You go to work, you're feeling comfortable. Everything's loose and breathing very easily. It's just incredible. It's just an amazing, amazing part of being a vet, and I'm sure being a physician as well, but an amazing part of being a vet. I cannot overstate how much I love wearing scrubs to work for my job. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this provided a little bit more of an upside or a positive outlook on the veterinary career in general. Please, if you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe button, leave a comment below. Let me know if you have any other positives that you'd like to mention about the veterinary field. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.